Know this about the importance of eating during stress. I have been a clinical psychologist for 8 years, and this is what I know. Today I'm addressing the topic of stress under eating and how to hack this. In my experience, people tend to fall into two categories when they're stressed: the ones who eat and the ones who don't. As I've done another extensive video on emotional eating, I wanted to make today's video about undereating during stress. When we experience stress, our system enters into fight or flight mode. We tend to feel on edge, nauseous, fidgety, a knot in the stomach, and some a bit fainty or besides themselves. We tend to experience chaotic patterns of energy, of either having large amounts of energy, where we feel like bursting and running in double speed, or feeling very low on energy, barely having the gist to get up from our chair or to go to the toilet down the hallway. This energy imbalance can lead to undereating in two ways. When we have excessive amounts of energy, we often don't feel the need to eat, as the need to eat is usually coupled with loss of energy or needing to eat to get energy. On the other times, when energy becomes extremely low, I find that people often report that they don't have the energy to cook or find food. Cooking a meal or going to the shops and deciding what to eat can feel like a too demanding task, and it often becomes more likely that the person will just stay at home and sleep instead of finding something to eat. Another cause of undereating during stress can be the physiological symptoms we experience during stress. Symptoms such as the nausea or knot in the stomach can cause us to not want to eat, because nausea is typically connected with lack of lust for eating or throwing up. Having a knot in the stomach can make it feel like there's no space for food, and thus it can seem uncomfortable to have to fill the stomach. Another common factor with stress are cognitive symptoms or problems with our cognition. This can be a loss of overview or diminished planning skills. This can affect many parts of our daily life functions and is often what lies behind or results in people forgetting to eat. Some also report that feeling beside themselves or not in touch with their body can be a factor for stress-related undereating. Not being aware of ourselves can lead us to not recognizing our normal hunger cues that usually trigger go out and find food behavior. Having undereaten for a while can also lead the stomach sac to shrink, which will make us feel fuller from a lesser quantity of food. But is it a problem, you might ask? Isn't it just cool to lose weight? As a psychologist, I usually differentiate between what makes us feel better about ourselves and what's causing our mental health to decline. Losing weight as a result of stress or stress-related undereating is both. Becoming skinnier, if that has value for you, it might be argued, can make you feel better self-esteem-wise. But at what cost? Undereating is compromising mental health and causes us to lack ability to function overall. When our mental health is suffering and our mind becomes unstable, we experience difficulties with regards to decision making, maintaining relationships, and overall life management. Losing weight during stress requires quite significant undereating. This is due to the body trying to keep weight on because it thinks that it's war or famine and it wants to protect our survival. Therefore, your mental health is likely to suffer from the lack of food you'll expose your body to. If my client has a wish to lose weight with regards to a life improvement goal or enhancing self-esteem or other, I'll typically advise them to wait with life improvement goals until they're no longer struggling with life-wrecking problems or problems with mental health. It's easier to work on, for example, a weight loss goal when everything else is not in jeopardy. And when we're stressed out, our mental health is struggling, and it makes no sense to start more projects at that time. Some psychologists will use the example: first put out the fire in the house, then start remodeling. This fits very well into my thought division of what causes decline and what improves our life, and how these are often not the same. So in order to give yourself the best chances of mental health, you need to eat enough. When you're stressed out, that can be difficult due to the factors of stress-related undereating. So what does the psychologist suggest? There are 3 hacks I usually give to my clients. 1 is to forget about cooking and complex meals. I often advise my clients to stock up on ready meals and figure out what foods they can quickly grab and eat. I tend to give examples of bread rolls with butter and cheese, the ones they have in 7-Eleven or gas stations. They're cheap, easy to eat, and have both carbs, fat, and protein. When we're struggling to eat enough, it's not the time to obsess about optimal eating or healthy eating, whatever today's definition of that is. The aim is to eat enough. For this, ready-made sandwiches and ready meals that just need a ping in the microwave are ideal. Then when you're okay again, you can go back to eating more elaborate meals. For those who have a relative or partner who offer to cook, that's also wonderful, but here be mindful of the second hack. The second hack relates to that when we're stressed out, we're likely to feel less hungry or we feel like we want less bulk in the stomach. Therefore, I often advise my clients to try to eat things that are more dense in nutrition or energy. If we have normal hunger, it's fine to eat large portions with lots of fiber and maybe less energy, because we eat more food, we'll get enough energy. But when struggling with reduced hunger, we'll often tend to eat smaller portions or less food overall. Here it's a good idea to make sure that you have things with more energy in it. This can be skipping the fibers or large portions of vegetables and instead focusing on fat, carbs, and protein. When you're back to eating normal again and able to stomach larger portions or eating more often, then reintroduce the extra fiber or veggies. Some research also points to that we can cheat our hunger system by eating things that are hyperpalatable. When having no food lost or limited hunger, we can make use of this research as it tells us how to override our fullness or lack of hunger cues. By eating foods that are circa half fat, half carb, we should be able to cheat our system into eating more in spite of feeling full. Examples of these foods can be ice cream or some fast foods or crisps. Again, skip this habit again when you're no longer having problems with undereating, as it otherwise can lead to weight gain. Unless you want to gain weight, of course, then it's a very efficient way of eating beyond fullness. The last hack I give my clients is to forget everything they've ever heard about mindful eating. Mindful eating have become popularized over the last 20 years and consists of making yourself fully aware of what you're doing while eating. This means that you focus completely on the act of eating, the smells, the textures, the flavor of the food, and the sensations in the body when you eat. All of this added attention to the process of eating is usually leading to less hunger and even quicker feeling of fullness. As this is already the problem with stress-related undereating, I normally advise my clients to do the exact opposite. I advise them to be as distracted as possible when eating. That is, to eat during commute or to put on the TV while eating. This way, they'll usually find it easier to eat enough because they're distracted from their lack of hunger or discomfort during eating. Other clients of mine will use the companies of others for distractions, as they find that they have an easier time eating when they're talking or being distracted by their friends or family. Both works. I think this is all we had time for. What was your takeaway from today's video? As always, feel free to take away the information you can use and leave the rest. Hopefully you found that today's topic made sense and I didn't waste your time. Please subscribe or like this video so my channel can grow. Take care and see you for the next one.